Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for your time. I'm delighted to introduce Prescient Therapeutics, and we are developing some very, very innovative therapies for cancer. And look, I realise that in technology plays, everyone talks a big game, and it's often these, like many investment thematics, development thematics, become crowded plays. It is a very rare opportunity when you find yourself not only at the front of the wave instead of out the back scrambling with everyone else, but to have that wave to yourself. And I'm incredibly excited to convey this to you, and it's going to be apparent to you exactly what we have and why we find ourselves at the forefront of this massive wave. So next couple of slides, please. I'll give you to introduce the company by way of investment highlights. We're well funded, lots of shots on goal. We have 2 potential company makers already in the clinic and a fantastic new asset. And in fact, if you skip to the next slide, in the interests of time, so we're, again, some corporate snapshot, 120 odd mil with growing liquidity. We believe this is just the start for us, very undemanding metrics, and we've got cash in the bank right now. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to get at, is we're certainly not a one-trick pony. We have 7 programs and growing. I only have time to touch on this. I think the take-home message for this is several. We're attacking various different aspects of cancer, both from inside the cell and outside the cell, using different tools. We're diversified, which is great not only for risk mitigation, but also to create lots of opportunities for value creation. And the third thing I'd say is that we license from the best and we work with the best: Oxford University, Yale, University of Pennsylvania, and the like. So, and now, working with Peter Mac as well. So we license from the best and work with the best. It's sleep at night science, from the best institutes and published in the best journals. So we take a diversified portfolio approach, I guess, so investors may not have to. So next slide, please. So I'm going to touch on now the things that are, targeting things inside the cell. These are in the clinic now. The first one here is PTX100. This asset is licensed from Yale University, and we announced just last week some excellent trial results led by Miles Prince here in Australia. It was a safety study, and yes, it demonstrated excellent safety, not a single adverse event that was related to the drug. But even though we weren't looking for efficacy, we saw really encouraging evidence of clinical activity. So typically, these patients with a certain type of blood cancer, they are expected to have their cancer at bay at best 3 to 4 months. And we saw one with 12 months and one with 17 months and counting. So almost probably 19 months as we sit here today. And this really made the lead investigator sit up and say, hang on, these patients should be dead. What is going on? So next slide, please. The next steps for this study is to hone in on that sweet spot. It's a certain type of blood cancer called peripheral T-cell lymphoma. It's a massive area of unmet need. These patients don't have very many options, and it's the shortest path to market. I think we remain very NPV focused, not interested in development programs for the sake of academic curiosity. We are about developing products. And as an indication as to how big this market opportunity is, although the patient numbers are small, the market opportunity is big. If you look at a drug called Folliton, look at the price there, $500,000 US per patient per year, which is a little bit vulgar in my view, but it shows this drug only works in about a quarter of patients and provides an incremental benefit. And if you remember on the previous slide, if we can demonstrate what we showed in this, the signal we saw in the previous study, we think we've got a very, very exciting drug which has a real market opportunity. I would encourage you to please go to our website and listen to Miles Prince in his own words, his unbiased, unpaid view on why he's really excited about this drug. So that's just one of 7 drugs. Next slide, please. PTX200 is a second drug that we've got in the clinic. This is targeting a different type of blood cancer called AML. In this setting, patients are dead really between 4 to 6 months from diagnosis, and we have had 3 complete responses on the study so far, so complete eradication of disease. So that's very encouraging, and this trial is ongoing and producing due to readout data towards the end of this year, start of next year. It also has orphan drug designation. So then again, I'm racing through, but two very exciting drugs. Either one of these is a potential company maker. But I'm going to switch gears now on the next slide, introduce Omni-Car. And what is this thing called CAR T? It's amazing. I can't wait to convey to you the promise of this therapy. And there's no better example than Emily Whitehead here, suffering an awful blood cancer, and she'd failed chemotherapy twice and was 24 hours from her organs shutting down before she went on this study. And on the following slide, you can see Emily 1 year from that therapy, 5 years from that therapy, and just 3 months ago, this is Emily 9 years cancer-free. So if it looks like a cure and smells like a cure, this is what's really encouraging. It's head-turning responses like this that have transformed the way we approach medicine. And this is called CAR T. Here's roughly how it works on the following slide. If you can click through, oh yeah, that's fine. Leave it on that slide, please. It's about weaponizing our own immune systems. Our immune systems are really good at fighting infection, but they don't recognize cancer. So what we do is take blood from the patient, isolate these soldiers in the immune system called T cells, which are really good at fighting infection, and reprogram them outside of the body to express a new receptor that is now capable of recognizing and binding to cancer, and grow these up. They're called CAR T cells, and you give them back to the patient. So the patient's getting a really enhanced version of their own immune system. Instead of fighting infection, now fight cancer. But like any brand new technology, the first iteration is often the clunkiest. It's like a VHS tape, and as wonderful as CAR T is, that's where it finds itself. So the next slide, please. So the very people who pioneered CAR T and developed it and helped treat Emily and the like, University of Pennsylvania, saw the shortcomings in current generation CAR T and developed this modular CAR T approach that Prescient has been fortunate enough to license. And this simple act of modularity confers several amazing benefits that are apparent on the next slide. So if you think of conventional CAR T, these are CAR Ts that are on the market, now subsidised by the PBS here in Australia. That's the soldier on the left. Not besmirching it, it's a wonderful new therapy, it's groundbreaking, but it's a soldier in the immune system that can only has one weapon, can only hit one target. You cannot redirect or even communicate with that soldier in the field. Whereas on the right, you can see what we're bringing to the table with Omni-Car is the ability to arm these soldiers with any weapon, including several at once, send them on multiple deployments against many targets, including several at once, to be able to communicate and control them all the time, including mid-mission, if you like, which doctors are demanding, and even the ability to send images back. So when we speak about being ahead of the curve, please remember this slide, that as wonderful and as groundbreaking as current CAR T is, we are even further ahead of the curve by making these controllable, adaptable, safe, and next generation. So we're like bringing Netflix to the VHS conversation, if you like. And this, on the next slide, be able to see, has yielded 3 highly differentiated products for us there in blue. We've got one addressing a blood cancer called AML, another one against solid tumours, and another one in an awful blood cancer called glioblastoma. And arguably the world's foremost authority on GBM has just joined our advisory board yesterday. Very excited about this. Why? Because he sees the limitations of the CAR T approaches to make a dent in this, and the ability and the potential for Omni-Car to overcome all of those limitations through control and flexibility. So it is definitely the future. And in the green, I guess our business model is not just reliant on us developing our in-house programs. We've also got the ability to partner with external parties and basically be the Intel chip inside their computers. And once they learn that we've got the ability to make their programs controllable and adaptable and next generation, are they interested? You can bet they are. So that's a snapshot of Omni-Car. That's a lot of ground to cover. On the following slide, in summary, I've not even spoken about the middle one, which is in stealth mode, but you can see Prescient is comprised of several important pillars that are all going to drive growth. With Omni-Car, we've got 3 highly differentiated programs, our cell therapy enhancements in stealth mode and hopefully soon to exit. but are very relevant to current generation and next generation cell therapies. And again, the programs I led with the targeted therapies, which are in the clinic right now and producing very, very interesting data. So to finish up where we began, on the next slide, please. We're very well funded. We're not asking for money. We've got lots of shots on goal in a diversified pipeline that has been licensed from the best institutes in the world. We've got two candidates in the clinic right now, either of which are company makers, but a lot of eyes on this next generation platform, Omni-Car, which is not only yielding 3 internal programs for us, but has the ability to monetize a lot earlier through collaborations externally. So many thanks, and invite your questions, and please go visit our website for more information.
Thanks, Stephen. Firstly, congratulations, it shouldn't be underestimated how important this work is, and really powerful images of that young girl and how she's grown over the last couple of years, thanks to what you're doing. Can you talk a little bit about your recent board appointment? Because what we see is sometimes these ASX announcements get skimmed over, but it really is, when you have a world-class appointment, it really does help validate what you do.
We punch well above our weight, and I think we're only the second company following Novartis to be able to successfully license a CAR-T technology from University of Pennsylvania. And when you license from the best, you attract the best. I mean, the technology speaks for itself, and when you show clinicians and these world-leading experts the data, then they are coming to us saying, we would like to be part of this. Yesterday's appointment is from someone who's very, very cynical. He's a Harvard-trained brain surgeon who now is a tenured professor at University of Pennsylvania. And he saw this, he's very critical of other CAR-T programs and their ability to target brain cancer, because he sees all of the problems that they're encountering. And he saw this and he said, this can help address all of those problems. I want to be part of it. So to harness that sort of independent enthusiasm is, it's invaluable. It's invaluable, and it gives us a lot of encouragement that we've got something very real here.
And does the board help you with your engagement with the FDA? You know, we talk about fast tracking unmet needs. Can you give us an idea of what are some of the timelines for some of these clinical programs, and what are some of the key inflection points?
Yeah, I think it depends. I think to answer the first part of the question, yes, between our internal team and our advisors, that they are very important in guiding all of the steps of development, including the regulatory interactions. And for those on the call, to develop is one thing, but at the end, you need a rubber stamp from a regulatory authority to say, yes, you're allowed to treat patients with this. And I take the view that you need to engage early and engage often with the regulators, and we've got good capabilities internally and through our advisors to do that, and we do. The second point is we take quite a different approach to others. Normally, it's a very, very, very long development time frame. You know, first, before you even get into humans, and there's a phase 1, a phase 2, and phase 3. And the phase 2 and phase 3 trials can be very long trials, and the phase 3 trials could take, 5 to 7 years, depending on the cancer, and cost hundreds of millions of dollars. But by being very focused on areas of unmet need, we've found a path where the regulators will truncate that path for you and really halve that or better, and at a fraction of the cost, to get to areas of unmet need. And that's a beachhead really for then going after other indications as well. But it's all about getting this as quickly as possible to the market.
And you've been successful. You've been successful with what you've licensed so far. Is the strategy to license more drugs and to adopt the same strategy?
I don't need 50 drugs to work. I need one to work. And if one works, it'll work spectacularly well. I think we've got more than enough on our plate. And we're very, very encouraged by what we've got. And especially with Omni-Car, which is a platform, I could launch 20 different programs with Omni-Car today and light as many fires as possible. That said, whilst we're not looking for anything new, if something compelling came along, I guess we would consider it for sure. But believe me, we have our hands more than full with some very exciting programs.
It does look like that, Stephen. And one last question. Does the license allow you to keep the IP for the changes to the CAR-T as Omni-Car?
Yeah, so we have the global exclusive license for this base technology, but yes, I think that the nature of the question is quite perceptive. Any enhancements that you make over and above that, they typically belong to the company, and we're all about generating as much value as we can for Prescient.